Hmm. I am live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this Equinox Hangout. Let's get some things set up here. Dropping into the space. Once again, I was live last night on Instagram, and now I am live on YouTube. So it's definitely been a busy time here. And I always have to have incense burning just to clear the space and just have this beautiful smell. I can't remember. I think this is like a harvest incense from this Japanese, or actually, no, it's called Autumn Leaves from a Japanese incense creator. I'm sure some of you are probably familiar. I don't know. I don't remember the name offhand, but it's a really beautiful, grounding autumn scent. And it's just, I love it. I love everything autumn, fall. It's definitely my time of year, my season. So as I've been doing with these YouTube lives, I just want to hang out and connect. And hopefully I have some people join me live here in the chat to ask me anything that you desire. Ask me any questions about astrology, tarot, witchcraft, astronomy, dreams, as that's been something I've been really talking about a lot lately. Whatever you desire and feel called to ask or share, I am opening up the space for that in these lives. I'm also going to briefly talk about Libra season and what we can expect. And then I will wrap it up by pulling some cards. So thank you again for being here. Thank you for watching the replay. As always, I really appreciate your comments and support. So even if you're not catching this live and you're watching the replay, I would love to hear your thoughts and perspectives, or even if you have questions, you can definitely post that in the comment section. And thank you always for, just sharing and liking my content, subscribing. It all is amazing. Even the donations are absolutely appreciated as well. I really am grateful for any kind of support that I get. So, okay, let's just jump into the energy of Libra season. I am going to be uploading the astronomy and ritual of the September equinox, that the video series I've been doing. This is video 6 of 8, in which I talk briefly about these 8 significant points that the sun makes as we perceive its path through our skies throughout a yearly time span. And I'm so proud of myself. I have started with Embulk, which is back in February, and I've been very consistent and pretty much on time with these. And so you can expect to receive this astronomy and ritual video, I would say probably by the end of the weekend. So the equinox is actually on Saturday, September 23rd. And yes, Saturday, September 23rd. And what I really want to share is that when we think about the term equinox, we are thinking about equal day and night. However, the moments in which we actually experience equal day and night, as far as the amount of hours within a day, or from sunrise to sunset and then sunset to sunrise, actually happens in the northern hemisphere a few days after the equinox. So where I am in New York, the equal day and equal night actually happens on September 25th. And if you're in the southern hemisphere, the equal day and equal night around this time will actually be a little bit before, like a few days before the actual solstice, or sorry, not solstice, the actual September equinox, right? And so it's measured, and of course I'll go into detail about this in the astronomy and ritual video, but it is measured or observed as far as the actual equinox is if we observe the sun as a point, right? And that sun as a point when it's the point actually, well, I'm not going to get into that here. I'll get into it in the astronomy and ritual video. But when that specific point, when the sun crosses over that 0 degrees, or is at the 0 degrees of Libra, tropical Libra, when it's shining directly overhead at that point, that is what we consider the September equinox. And so that is the moment in which the sun is shining, the sun's rays is hitting the earth directly perpendicular to the celestial equator at 0 degrees Libra, right? And so it is very significant. It's a point in which we're able to distinguish what our actual true east and west is, right? So you can really connect to your local cardinal directions in that way, which is pretty powerful and significant. And that will be at the time of the equinox, is when we get the due east sun, the sun rising at due east and sun setting at due west. So there is some significance and potence to the actual equinox day in that period. Of course, we celebrate and honor the equal day and equal night at that time. And I will talk about the ritual and the astrology also of the September equinox. So in this video, I do want to talk about Libra season 2023. And that begins at the point in which the sun reaches that 0 degrees tropical Libra, which is going to be on September 23rd of this year, 2023. And, you know, sometimes it'll be on the 22nd, sometimes it'll be on the 23rd, depending on the year and such. And this year it's on the 23rd. So there's actually a lot happening during this Libra season. And there's just, I'm actually really excited and looking forward to it, because we are going to begin the solar or the eclipse season right in the middle of the Libra season. And I have a very special offering of support for anyone who's interested in connecting with me in that period of time, that lunar cycle of Libra, which is also eclipse season. And I'll be sharing that hopefully over the weekend very soon. So stay tuned for that. But it is going to be a very, very powerful offering and way in connecting in community and with connecting with a 28-day lunar cycle, essentially. So with this Libra season, the theme that I am picking up on, of course, is the theme of balance. Also the theme of, or the experience of finding presence, finding peace, which is a major, major virtue of the Libra archetype. And as Libra season begins, so with the sun moving into Libra and that initiating that solar cycle of Libra, we are still within the lunar cycle of Virgo. And so the Virgo themes corresponding to the moon and that connection of embodiment, of emotions, of healing, and even reflection. I'm getting a really big theme and focus here of reflection that is going to integrate and merge with the energy of Libra. So we have Virgo and Libra working together here, which is really interesting, because when you have the signs next to each other, these archetypes, they're essentially in each other's blind spots. And the way that energy interacts with one another is that it's really and it's an experience of adjustment. So there's a constant kind of adjusting or fixing, because there's like something going on in your blind spot, whether it's something that is inviting you to evolve and move forward, or it's something that is inviting you to reflect and, you know, kind of not necessarily backtrack where you've been, but just reflect and integrate what has happened in the past, so that that can be a benefit moving forward. That's what comes forth as that continual adjustment, right? There's something there in my blind spot that I can feel, but I can't necessarily see. So I love the way the moon cycle and the solar cycles are working in connection with each other this year, right? And this flow, or this connection between the solar and the lunar cycles, as far as almost like we would consider this in conjunct in astrology and in astrological terms. They're working in an in conjunct type relationship with each other, in the sense that I guess I already explained that, but this this transition, this shift in connection happened back in, I want to say it was late April, right? When we had there was the second new moon in Aries, right? And there, it was an eclipse. So it was like with that eclipse season, we got that shift and transition of these archetypes working in conjunct to each other, if that makes sense. So if there's anyone live here watching, please feel free to say hi in the chat, ask any questions. Just want to throw that out there as I move along. And again, I'll be pulling some cards here too to see what additional messages we're getting. So with the Virgo lunar cycle and the Libra solar cycle, the way this energy is coming through, right? We want to be present here with the Virgo energy, as there's been a lot going on, or there was a lot going on in Virgo as far as the sun being in Virgo, of course. So there's that divine intelligence, that life force energy within the archetype of Virgo. We also had Mercury retrograde in Virgo, which was a really big deal. And now the lunar cycle is in Virgo. And what I'm getting here is a focus on healing, on integration and restoration, which are, the typical Virgo energies, right? The Virgo virtues. And what we're being guided to here, as Venus has just ended her retrograde cycle, Mercury has just entered a retrograde cycle, Pluto will soon end its retrograde cycle, and then we had Jupiter and Uranus. They both started their retrograde cycle. There's a guidance or invitation to clear space, to clean space. And in a way, a really good way to do this is through ritual, through routine. And that's also a virtual technique that is going to be very helpful. And what really came to mind as I shared in the cosmic climate, with reflecting back to May, what was it, the week of May 8th through the 14th, as whatever was going on then is going to be very helpful or insightful or enlightening for where you are now and moving forward into really fully into Libra season and then eclipse season. What my connection was, and I thought it was very profound, was that was when I started my 28-day ritual with the intention to clear my chakras, align them, get them active. And by doing that, my desire was to integrate the consciousness of my higher self, Urania. And a lot of you have been with me through the journey of even being like, okay, I'm Urania now, call me Urania. And that devotion, that discipline, that 28-day ritual brought me so much presence, brought me so much space. Like literally the intention was clearing space. And now where am in this moment, if you happen to catch my live on Instagram last night, I was very ungrounded. I've been really ungrounded the past few days, and there's been just a lot of energy around. And as I talk about the energy of Libra season, it's definitely going to pick up even more, right? And so my guidance, what came through for me is that, okay, I need to integrate another 28-day ritual or integrate some sort of routine to find the presence, to find the space, and therefore clearing my energetic field and being clear and grounded so that I can keep up with the goals that I am desiring to keep up with. And so that is going to be a part of the offering that I have coming forth here that I will share with you all very, very soon. And the offering has already been in creation mode since, it's been a few weeks. So I love to see the synchronicities. And it's like, I just got this feeling that, yes, I'm on the right path, so to speak, or I'm in alignment and everything's flowing as it should. Theo, oh my goodness, yes, welcome in. Theo, if you have any questions about anything, definitely feel free to ask. I am talking about Libra season, and I'm going to pull some cards here too. So if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments since we're here live. Anything about dreams or whatever's coming up for you in the moment, definitely feel free to share if you feel comfortable to do so. And hopefully some more folks will join. All right. So, yeah, so with the Virgo energy, this is allowing us to clear space, to reminding us of ritual and routine. And with this being the lunar cycle, there is honestly an emphasis on I'm gonna hurt this. Whoops. An emphasis on the moon cycle, right? So that just the 28-day ritual. And in the 28-day routine, and it doesn't have to be, well, I mean, if it's a ritual, you're doing the same thing at the same time every day, but there's room for flow, just like how the moon goes through different phases, 8 phases, right? We want to embody that flow and that ability to change while we're in the rituals, while we're in routine. So we want to check in with the energy of our body and our environment as we do this. But by doing this really connects us to the cycles of, the moon, of course, of nature, of our own nature. And it really shows us how disciplined we can be, and being in those moments of within ritual. And for me, when I was doing the 28-day ritual, it only took at the longest maybe 30 minutes. If I'm really into it and my daughter's still sleeping, I can really go for 45 minutes if I'm sitting outside in nature and meditating. But it could be as short as 15 minutes. But that 15 minutes really, again, you're sitting in presence, you're giving yourself space, and your whatever guidance you're seeking or whatever messages are meant to come through will come through at that time, like in that space of presence. And that's when the peace comes in, that's when the balance comes in, and the healing. So it is really powerful to be in those moments, right? And to really connect in ritual. And I guarantee you, if you do a 28-day ritual, you're probably going to want to do another one after you've like completed that one. That's what I've seen with my clients and myself. So one of the big themes, okay, so I mentioned the theme of Libra, right? Is the balance, there's a rebirth happening, as I've been speaking about us being in essentially the death portal, the bardo, the liminal space. And we're still in it, or at least, well, I'm still in it. I can't speak for everyone, but we are moving through. And what I spoke about in the cosmic climate is that at the beginning of the week, this week of what is this, September, the week started with September 18th, I think. I'm recording this on the 21st. It's Thursday. Yes, I think I did the math right. And we started the week with the moon in Scorpio. And what I was feeling just intuitively, I hadn't even really been feeling it yet, but I was like, okay, we're in the tunnel, we're in the portal, I'm seeing it as a tunnel, as like a long, dark tunnel. And I really connect with this with Scorpio, because Scorpio really loves to go deep and loves a good mystery. And it's like, what's at the bottom of this? What's the light? What's, where does this end? Like, what's the point even? Or they're just the knowingness, right? And that knowingness, when we acquire that knowingness, is when we step into the archetype of Sagittarius. So what I was really feeling is that at the beginning of the week, I felt that, we'd be in the tunnel, but there's a glimpse of light. Like we can see the light right now. And I felt that light was the lantern that the hermit carries, which is so perfect for Virgo, right? Because we're still in the Virgo lunar cycle. And by the end of the week, Friday, actually, so the moon is already in Sagittarius, and the moon will peak at her first quarter phase on Friday in Sagittarius. So I had this feeling that, okay, this is when we sit with the hermit for some time. And then when we connect with, when the moon reaches this first quarter phase, this is the hermit kind of being like, okay, go now, go on, keep walking the path. I feel that the path, we're still in a bit of the portal, right? And I do sense that this eclipse season coming forth is the initiation, and still kind of like, it's like even the whole process of going through the birth canal. But I mean, what really is time? And what comes forth as well And the reason why I'm speaking of it in this way is because the theme that I'm getting with Libra season is the scales. And what stood out to me the most is the scales in the mythology of, the Egyptian journey into the underworld and dying, like the sun dying and then being reborn, right? And that whole journey of souls going into the underworld and being judged, right? And their heart being weighed against the feather of Mayat, which is the goddess of justice, of truth, and balance. And I kept seeing the scales, and then I finally saw it in my Egyptian deck and it clicked. And I felt that's the message here for Libra season. That's the focus. That's the theme. And it's all this whole rebirth and resurrection energy, which I know a lot of us are feeling right now. And so as we're moving forward, this clearing space is really energetically becoming lighter, becoming lighter energetically, right? So clearing space, being in the present moment, all of this healing, all of this going through the dark and, the unconscious becoming more conscious is really significant right now as we are moving into this eclipse season. And there are going to be some really intense dreams happening, and I'm kind of interestingly looking forward to it. So Theo saying, I'm thinking about a 28-day ritual to help cleanse my dreams of nightmares. Would it be better to start on the equilux, or the equilux? Yes, I was reading about that. Or the Aries full moon. So I would say it's interesting. You're the second person today that is sharing that they want to begin their 28-day ritual. And they were asking me, oh, should I start on the full moon or new moon? And Zephrine, hi, beautiful. Hi, goddess. So happy you're here. So my response to her, which is going to be the same response to you, I do feel what I look at is my own birth chart. So I look at my own birth chart to see, okay, right now there's a lot of energy focused, and we have what the moon is in. We're in the Virgo lunar cycle, right? So see what's going on with Virgo in your chart, and also what's going on with Libra. So do you have any placements there? And what I really, really connect with is the moon and your intentions for this ritual, right? So it's really no right answer, as far as like, oh no, you should do it on the new moon or you should do it on the full moon. It really is based on your intention and your own astrology. Then what is going on in the astrology currently? And so as the sun's moving into, okay, so I guess you want to do it soon, right? So you're looking at the equilux, right? So the equilux, for those of you who aren't familiar with what that means, is essentially when there's actually equal day and equal night. So and you said your desire is to help you cleanse your dreams of nightmares. So I would say the equilux sounds like a good time, right? And so, it's based on your latitude of when there's actually equal day and equal night. And I don't know if you have I'm going to share with you here the website in which you can find out the equal day and equal night. I'll just share it here for those of you who, Wednesday. My cat just like hang glided on my thigh. Oh my gosh. I hate when she does that. I wasn't paying attention and she just digs her talons into my thigh, and it's not fun. Okay, so back to what I was sharing here. I'm going to share this webpage here in the comments, and you can find out what day it is that it's equal day and equal night. And that is when the energy, the light, the sunrise to sunset, those hours between, and then the sunset to sunrise, the hours between that are equal, right? So you can see here, based on your latitude, for most people in the Northern Hemisphere, it's September 25th, which is nice because we get a couple days. So let's see, we'll put that there. All right, so balancing out the energies. Let's see. Sorry, sweetie. I gotta see my notes. Let me just come back here. Okay. Let's see. I'm just looking at the full moon energy. Did I write anything for that? Yeah. So, I mean, I would check out what's going on with the full moon. So if you have strong Aries in your chart, or there's something significant with Aries, because the moon's going to be in Aries. Now I will say that the moon is not very happy in Aries. And in a sense, I mean, it's fine in Aries, but there's a impatience, and there's just a quickness, right? So the energy is fast moving. I feel with Aries, it's like if you desire that very strong rush of emotions and release in that way, that might work for you. Mars is currently in Libra, right? So that full moon in Aries is going to also activate that Mars in Libra. So Mars in Libra will be really important. And that's what's Mars in Libra isn't really that happy because it's in its exile, right? It's far away from its home of Aries, right? It's in the opposite sign. So there's a lot of charged up intensity with the full moon in Aries. So again, it depends on what your true desires are. I mean, you gave me your intention, but how do you want to feel? Like, how does that make you feel, the moon in Aries, as opposed to, let's see, on Saturday, the moon, I think the moon's still going to be in Sagittarius. Let's see, on the 23rd or on the 25th. So that's not Saturday. Whoops. So it's not going to be in Sagittarius. Let's see. On the 25th, the moon is in Aquarius. Okay. So that's actually a really good place for the moon to be in the context of your intentions, because the moon in Aquarius is almost, it's like the visionary, the strong intuition, but there's like an opening, I feel, with the crown chakra and the third eye. There's a focus there with the moon in Aquarius. And then it's going to activate Saturn and Pisces, right? Saturn retrograde and Pisces. So Saturn's already in reflection mode, and that could help you to discern and really go through, initiate the cycle of going through the records, or going deep, and like even bringing balance to trauma, and just the presence of the nightmares and what's going on there, right? You can really gain some sense of structure and some ground with Saturn in Pisces. And the reason why I'm bringing up Saturn is because, it rules, traditionally Saturn rules Aquarius, and that's, that I use the traditional rulers. So already just the feeling that I'm getting in my voice and my mind, as far as clarity and the emotion in my body, I'm like, oh, I feel I resonate with the equinox, especially because I literally was just preparing myself, right, for the astronomy and ritual video, and I was researching that. And when I was researching the spring equinox, March equinox, I didn't come across the term equinox. This time I came across the term equinox. So it really stood out to me that you mentioned that specifically. So you might be onto something. Oh, yes, your moon is in Aquarius. So that's perfect. There you go. Amazing. I love that. Okay. Cool. All right. So, yeah. So on the topic of Mars, so here we are in Libra season. So when I'm like connecting with the solar seasons, I like to see, okay, what's going on in the house of Libra, or in the archetype of Libra? Are there any other planets there? And of course, we're going to look to it personally in our own birth chart. And so at this moment in time, Mars is in Libra. And as I was just speaking, Mars in Libra is essentially Mars far away from its home of Aries. Therefore, it's far away from its resources, right? If you think of, what's the furthest you can move away from your home, right? Where you feel comfortable and cozy. that's how it is when these planets are in their opposite sign, right? So Aries is the opposite sign of Libra, and Mars is the ruler of Aries, right? Or the guide of Aries. And so Mars has to really learn to play well with others, right? And what I'm actually getting, and this might speak to all of us a bit differently, but what I'm actually getting here is that we're actually being invited to, I like to say invited now because I used to say force, and it's not necessarily force. At times, though, it may feel that way, but we're being invited to actually be a little bit more self-focused. How can we be more, as Zephyr would say, self-full, not selfish, but self-full in relationships? So how can we honor our own independence and freedom and individuality within our relationships? And this is also a bit of a teaching for, that Venus retrograde in Leo, where Leo is also another sign that's like, hey, look at me. I am the center of what's going on here, and let me share my gifts with you. Let me share my light with you. And Venus was learning how to really embody that in a way that's balanced. So I feel that coming in through Mars in Libra and the sun being in Libra, there's going to be this strong focus on, again, still embodying who it is that you are, being independent and having that sovereignty within relationships, right? And of course, doing it in a way, the challenge is doing it in a way that is balanced, that is compassionate, that is graceful, and that is essentially, being present with the energies within you and around you. So the virtues of Mars essentially is independence and freedom to acquire desires, right? That I feel that really strongly with Aries, Mars and Aries. And as I mentioned, I use the traditional rulership. So Mars as the ruler or guide of Scorpio. The virtue there is living or being driven by passion, being driven by passion or our emotions, right? So our emotions are really what drive us to act, right? So if we feel a certain way, and if we even get that Scorpio, fixed devotion and attention to what it is that we desire, that's when we're like going really deep with it. So a lot of us at this point in time, individually and collectively, we're desiring something deep, something more connected, we're desiring to connect with our purpose and to really connect with ourselves and heal all of this heaviness, or release all of the heaviness that not only we've experienced, but we have been experiencing through our ancestral line, right? So really digging through the mother wounds, the father wounds, and, just all of that, right? And so we're getting both of those energies coming forth. And again, beautiful Libra it reminds us to find the balance, bringing it back into balance through presence, right? Through living in the moment. And that's one thing that Mars is really good at. So I didn't mean to say that Mars is not happy in Aries. It could just be a bit of a struggle, in my opinion, from what I've seen, and just connecting with the pure essence of the moon in Aries. And Aries is like, yes, I want to be independent. And if we're driven by our emotions, which the moon has the full range, right? It really governs the emotional body and just the waters of life. When we're like in the moment, and I feel Mars, there's so much passion and raw energy there, raw fire, I guess you can say, and water, those emotions, as they drive us to act, it can be kind of challenging because, what I was thinking as far as Mars and the moon, or moon and Aries, I'm thinking of Mars and Cancer. But anyways, thinking out loud. But I'm thinking about Mars and Cancer, where it's like you're acting on the emotions, and Mars is very quick, right? Aries is very quick. It's almost like with Aries, I'm like, it's act now, think later, right? I'll figure it out later. I'm going to do this now because I feel this strong emotion to move towards that. And so anyways, that's the energy that I'm picking up on. And of course, we're having a full moon in Aries on September 29th, and that's going to be in the middle of Libra season, right? And so there's going to be an illumination and I don't know, activation. I heard in my mind, I'm not quite sure, but maybe there's going to be an activation there, being that, now we're in, even though this is an eclipse, it's eclipse territory, right? It's the area of life that is going to be triggered and activated and transformed through these eclipses between Libra and Aries. So there's something here with this full moon in Aries that's going to be very, very activating, very fiery. So then with Venus is still in Leo. Of course, we want to connect in with Venus. And so with this Venus in Leo and the sun being in Libra, anything that's happening within Libra is going to be managed by Venus, and she is the guide, the ruler of Libra, right? So Venus is still doing her thing, moving through Leo. And so again, it's still just this transition. And this is why I'm saying we're still in that portal, right? We haven't quite resurrected yet or been reborn. And so again, there's still a bit of a focus of the self-worth, of confidence, of courage, of being you within your relationships. And know that, and I know all of us have experienced this at some point in time, that when we begin to change and really honor our truth and who it is that we are, and unapologetically and very courageously, people in our lives begin to reflect that. They respond either well, or they might just start to give you space, right? And that's really, again, playing into that vibe of creating space, of clearing space. And I've noticed this in my own life as I've been really clearing my mother wound and that mother line. Now I've been also clearing with my father's side, and specifically my relationship with my father. And I've been very like just me with my mother and father. And now not only am I seeing their reflection of the energy that I'm putting forth, because they're kind of like, okay, they don't push as much as they do, or, I didn't silence them, but it's like, there's nothing left else to say on this matter. Right. And I'm also in this process, understanding and witnessing that that's a them problem. Like what they're coming to me with, they're projecting their own trauma onto me, and it's not necessarily in a bad way that they're doing it, but just their concerns or the way they're still parenting me and trying to give me advice and approaching me is being done through their own trauma, right? And as I'm healing, I can see that they're healing a little bit too, but they don't have, of course, well, not of course, but I noticed that they don't have the same resources or the way of perceiving what's coming up for them. And so that's their thing, right? But I have been very truthful to showing up with who I am and not making any excuses. And I'm almost 40. So it's like, damn, okay. Like it took this long. All right. So moving forward, because I'm definitely, I still want to pull some cards, and we're about 20 minutes in. Again, if there's anyone here that is watching live, has a question or a comment, definitely feel free to pop that into the comments. Say hi. I would love to just know that you're here, even if you don't have a question. And I'm going to pull some cards here really, really soon as I just go through this Libra season, as I'm very grounded today. So I'm so grateful for that. So on October 14th, we have the new moon solar eclipse in Libra. And this is what I feel, this is the true activation, right? So the full moon in Aries, we're going to get a little bit. And I feel with this new moon solar eclipse, that is the activation. One of the things that came through in the live I did yesterday, we got the moon card, which had a pyramid there was a dark pyramid, nothing on it, no door. And then there was a white, I don't know if it was white, but it was maybe sandy, eggshell, whatever. It was a light pyramid that had a door, and it had the symbols for Venus and Aquarius there, which I thought was interesting. And I was being drawn just energetically as I was looking at it. I'm like, ooh, what's this like mystery pyramid, right? And we also received the death card, which has Anubis, and they were weighing the scales. And we also got the 8 of Swords, and I'll post this here soon after I do this live today. But there was also the 8 of Swords, and the swords, there were 3 swords that kind of made like a doorway, but right behind the doorway was the crocodile. And in the myth of, you know, this, in the part of the journey where your heart is being weighed against the feather, if your heart is heavier than the feather, then the crocodile headed goddess will eat your heart, therefore eating your soul, and you no longer cease to exist, which is a major thing for the Egyptians. It was like their existence was important, remembering someone's name. So as I've been learning about the history of ancient Egypt, there were times where people, other rulers would have say, oh man, what is her name? The one pharaoh, the queen, that she actually ruled as king, and I cannot remember her name, but it was a really big deal because she was like, no, I'm king, and she would wear like the whole like beard strap and everything. And she had her names on a few of the pyramids that were built during her reign. And then later her nephew, who actually ended up reigning after her, yeah, it was her nephew, also stepson, I don't remember. I think it was both. It was definitely both. He ended up they ended up erasing her names from the temples or the pyramids that she, oh no, it was the obelisks. Anyways, from the sacred monuments that she had when she reigned. And that was a big deal, because if your name is erased, and basically you cease to exist. So ceasing to exist is basically the end of your soul. So with all of that said, what I picked up from that was, are you ready to move through to be judged, in this sense? Are you ready to move through the gate? Are you ready to move through the portal and resurrect, right? And again, what I was picking up there too, because on the scales of actually, I'll show you, I have them right here. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. So last night, I swear that there's a man. So there's a man here, and it looks like he is, I think he's holding an ankh. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, he's slightly heavier than the feather. Okay. And I thought, yeah, last night he looked significantly heavier. And when I just picked the card up now, I was like, oh my gosh, it almost looks balanced. So here we are tapping into perspective, right? And so this is, with him being heavier, I was like, are we quite ready to resurrect or move through this portal or this space, to be reborn, or to be judged, right? In a sense. And the goal here is the lightness, right? To release the trauma, to go through the process of being present with the pain and what's coming up. And in that presence, you are witnessing that and hearing that, and then therefore integrating it. And that integration will transmute essentially into lighter or higher vibrations. And that's what I'm picking up here. And so I have the next card here that I was speaking of with the 8 of Swords. And so here you see these 3 swords, and there's the crocodile here. So when I was thinking about that, because there was a lot of being up in the head, right? And now I'm just giving away the whole live. You won't even have to watch it. But yeah, so there was that. It's like, oh, let's cross on through, but oh, there's the crocodile. Are we ready? Are we ready yet? And then I received this death card after that. So I'll show you the moon card in this deck with the 2 pyramids. Of course, that's not, with the others. Let's see, where is it? Okay, here we go. So we have the dark one, and then we have, so this is pretty much white, black and white, Venus in Aquarius with the door. And it's like, I feel, is that a trick door? Do I really want to go through this, But I was kind of drawn to this, and this is my Scorpio rising coming through life. what's in there? I kind of want to dig a little deeper. So maybe we're being called to dig a little deeper. So I definitely feel it's time to pull some cards here. And again, there's right in the middle of Libra season, October 14th, solar eclipse, new moon in Libra, 21 degrees. Right before this eclipse, the moon will go into the void herself, right? So she'll be the Hellenistic void, of course, meaning that she does not make any connections or aspects with any of the six traditional planets, since we're not including the moon. And those traditional aspects, right, are going to be conjunction, opposition, trine, square, and sextile. She's not making any of those 5 traditional aspects to the 6 traditional planets. Therefore, this is considered to be the Hellenistic moon void, of course, which, from the way I have been perceiving it and sitting with it, is that, again, that's a moment of just reflection, of peace, of presence, of silence. And so that's happening on that right before the solar eclipse. She'll go into the void on the 11th. And so her last connection that the moon makes is with Jupiter retrograde in Taurus. So there's a trine. The moon will be in Virgo. She'll make a trine to Jupiter retrograde in Taurus. She'll also be in the sign that she's having her lunar cycle, right? So she's revisiting where the cycle started. But she's like, I love the way it all works, right? It doesn't always happen this way, but in this year, the moon cycles are happening this way. Then her first connection is going to be a conjunction with Mercury in Libra. So the moon, when she comes out of the void, she'll be in Libra, she'll make a conjunction with Mercury. And then a few hours after that is the solar eclipse. Oh my goddess, that's a lot going on. I will point out that this is another significant ding or ping, or, just a significant point marking of Mercury and Jupiter. So I've been talking about Mercury and Jupiter being significant through Venus's retrograde cycle and Mercury retrograde cycle. They both had interactions with Jupiter. And this is, again, that journey of understanding, and the way it's coming out is like we're learning. The learning feels like the Mercury elements of it, and the integration or the understanding is the Jupiter part, right? So we're getting the downloads and then the integration. And I will also say, just to throw out all the energy, just to name it very briefly here, that's happening during Libra season. We have, sorry, I'm trying to see where we start. We have Mercury moving into Libra. Then we have Venus moving into Virgo. We have Pluto stationing direct, the moon going void, of course, Mars moving into Scorpio. Then we have the solar eclipse. So eclipse season starting. We have Mercury Cazimi in Libra. We have the sun squaring Pluto, which is a big deal. Pluto standing still, right? And Pluto is moving back into Aquarius here next year. So any kind of squares to Pluto is literally the raw unconscious, like the shadows, the fears, the doubts, the addictions, all of the heavy things, right? But there's a lot. And there could be, in addition with that unconscious being illuminated and that light being shining on Pluto, there's some, divine intelligence, especially with the sun in this case, right? There's some divine intelligence coming through. So some ability to get that foresight or, the foresight or vision into the future. And then finally, we have Mercury moving into Scorpio, and then the sun moves into Scorpio. So Libra is jam-packed with energy. So dreams are going to be wild. I'm going to tell you that right now. Okay. So I'm going to pull some cards. If there's anyone here, feel free to ask questions. But let's just see what the message is here, because I'm going to wrap it up after this. My head is getting a little bit like, I don't know. My eyes are starting to get tired. That's what's going on here. Whew. Okay. Divine, divine, divine. What messages do we have for Libra season, for the autumn equinox, all of the things? Wow. Oh, okay. That was something we got last night. Wow. Oh my gosh. Ugh. I love tarot. I love astrology. I love spiritual anything. I love spirit. I love the divine. And just being open and clear. You cannot make this up. Okay, so let's see. All right, can we get one more here? Okay. I want to keep shuffling just to see if there's anything else, even though we got our 3 to start with. Okay. Nice. All right, so I'll just show you the cards as I'm sitting with them. We have the King of Cups. This one fell on the floor, flew out, fell on the floor. And also this was in the reading from last night that I did on Instagram. I didn't mention it, but I guess it wanted to be mentioned. So then this one, like this was the first one that it didn't flip over, but I don't know if you saw it, but it made an entrance, and it is the Justice card. Venus, Cancer. And then, yeah, they did jump out. You saw that. Awesome. That's why I love just shuffling until whatever comes out, because you get the energy present. And then this last one here is the 3 of Wands. Okay, so you just take a second here. Interesting. Okay, so with the King of Cups, what I was speaking of with this last night, I mentioned spirit guides and I mentioned community. Or I mentioned community and just people that are waiting for us to show up, right? So there's one way you can look at our experience here on earth, right? There is this one theory that and I do actually believe this part, we choose to come here. I do believe that we choose to come into this body, this lifetime, for a specific purpose. And I do see the birth chart as giving us an indication of what that purpose is, what our, what karma or, trauma that we're working through from the past, what our challenges are, our strengths and such. And I look at astrology as a clock in that way. And so I do believe that we choose the day, the year, the parents, all of that, right? And so there's a perspective that is essentially, we show up here and we have a role to play. And, it's, if you think about this as like a play, or like it's a place where we learn, but also like a play, like we have a part, and we kind of need to show up for our parts. So because other people's roles are important and significant by way of us showing up too, right? And so maybe we're their teacher, maybe we're their mother, or their best friend or their partner. And by us showing up, and following this purpose or this path, we connect with them, we interact with them, and it moves forward in that way, right? So that's literally what was coming up last night is, okay, we got to get our shit together. And I'll let you watch if you want to watch the live. I won't give it all away, but really it's speaking of really having that devotion, that commitment to ourselves, our own healing, and really being in our purpose and showing up. And, you know, if you're watching this, if you watch my cosmic climates and just keep up with what I'm doing and what I'm sharing, you're definitely, I know that you're doing the healing work and that you're on this journey of discovery for yourself and self-transformation, right? And so when I saw this, it just really stood out to me as, okay, this is someone who is that, because they're almost like ready to get up, right? And that's what I was like, okay, we're waiting, we're ready to do the thing. Like, oh, I'm getting anxious, it's almost my part. And it's interesting the way I placed this, as this is the first one I saw, right? That it fell over on the floor face up, and I looked down and I saw it, right? So the way I had it placed is where I had this down and it's facing, it's behind the justice card, right? And so I feel that there is, this is like we're going through this process and then this is next, or something of that nature, if that makes sense, right? So and then we have the Three of Wands here, which is like creative energy, creative action, expansion. But the number 3, there's, again, like I've said before, with the number 3, that is what you need to witness a pattern, or to witness a pattern, to see some significance, is like if you have, like when you get into 3, oh, and you know what's been coming through, 3's a charm. I heard that on a podcast where they were talking about numerology just briefly. They were talking about how the number 4 is significant in structural completion. Can't say the word right now, but it's important with completion, right? Like when you reach 4, that's a stable foundation, that's completion, right? Or at least like a baseline of completion. With the number 3, you know, it's like the number 4 starts a new cycle, but it completes it in a sense. With the number 3, you have 3's a charm, right? 3, like, let's do this 3 times and then we'll know, it'll click. So there's something here about the 3, and I'm going to pull a few more cards just to see what more, right? But the 3 here is, you know, if I'm looking at this from right to left, the 3 is, you know, on the right side of the justice. And so, yeah, I want to get a little bit more insight. I feel the justice kind of speaks for itself with everything we've been talking about Libra, and with the skills, and with the sword. There's Venus, there's Cancer. So I'm getting the vibe of the moon, and of course, Venus, the mothering energy, the fairness, the cycles. Okay. Oh, we got 2. Wow. Okay. Oh, we got 3. They just flipped over so beautifully. Okay. All right. Okay. I see what's going on here. Yes. Wow. Okay. I need to have a camera view of how this is laid out, because the message really comes through very clearly. So the main energy here is the Hangman, which we received not too long ago in one of my readings, my lives. This to me felt as sacrifice, right? With the Hangman, usually that's a shift in perspective, or even, again, a moment of presence and just being still, a moment of stillness, right? Surrender. And with this cow here, it definitely feels like sacrifice, just the energy of the card. And then we have the woman, the Queen of Cups. So this feels like an offering, another offering, especially, you know, just holding these together. Oops, I think it's better to see here. So that looks really cool. So again, that just speaks to the offering. And it's interesting that this queen is holding an ankh, right? So she's got kind of like a goddess status. So interesting. And then the next card here is the 5 of Wands. So again, so I like that. It's okay. We have the 3 of Wands, the 5 of Wands, the King of Cups, the Queen of Cups, right? And then here and then we have with both of these, there's some presence of like a blade, right? Like the goddess of justice, she has this scythe almost kind of type sword, and he has whatever this is. So very interesting here. And with the 5 of Wands, what is this? A wheel, water. Oh, okay. I'm just connecting with the glyphs as much as I do know. I see a will here. I see the water. And then I see this scroll here. So there's something, I mean, what this comes to mind is with the scroll, there's always, there's a lesson here, right? And with this, the will, even though the hieroglyphs aren't always, what do you call them? Ideographs? Like the symbols don't always mean what they show. Like the water doesn't necessarily mean water. It's more of the letter N and the sound that makes. And there's the connection to the Nile too, right? Which is what I'm picking up on. But there's the scroll, to me, it really speaks of the lesson. And with the 5 of Wands, that 5 is, when I was speaking of the 3 being a charm, 4 being structural completion, and the 5 starting the new cycle. The 5 it's the odd number where it's like, okay, what, like, again, we need to clear, right? With the 5, it's not, it doesn't fit. Like we have the 4 wands, and then what do we do with the 5th one, right? The 3, we can make a nice little triangle, we can make a portal in that way. With the 4, there's a structure, the container. But with the 5, like, and just seeing the sacrifice here, or the sacrifice, the hangman with sacrifice, and then the Queen of Cups also look like she's making an offering or moving forward with this cup, right? To receive even the divine energy of the goddess, as I'm picking up on this too. Oh, hi, Susanna. Welcome in. Yes, I'm just wrapping up here with the tarot reading. So yeah, I think that's the message. And this is something that, we've been sharing and talking about. So it's really just the divine is driving this point home, as far as, clearing space, going from the 5 wands to this simple 3. 3 is a charm, right? And I do like with this one, we have the blossoming of the lotus, and there's really none of that here, right? Here is that will. I wish I could remember off the top of my head what this actually symbolizes. The water here, and this cup or bowl. And then here's where, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a scroll, right? So there's the learning and the sacrifice, the surrendering, and yeah. Which I think is interesting, the way I have this place is the 3 of wands is up here with the justice, right? So it's like when we finally make that sacrifice, when we finally surrender, we're going to feel, we'll know when we are ready to have that rebirth moment or meet with the goddess of justice of Mayat, right? And to resurrect and be reborn. Awesome. I feel very complete with this. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And if you watch the replay, I would love to hear your comments and thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you always for sharing and liking, commenting, supporting. And I will, I'll be doing another live here on YouTube for Samhain, for Halloween, right? And I'm gonna, even though I'm not doing the astronomy and rituals, once I complete all of them, the videos, I like this meeting and connection here with the 8, the Sabbats, right? So on that note, I'm going to eat some food and